Hello, everyone. How are you? Good to see you again. Thank you for joining. Can you all hear me fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hear Christina. Okay, good. So I found my recordings. There were CSI transition from, like, they had this platform where we were able to get our emails as instructors to Microsoft Office 365. So I uploaded 2 recordings in there. I don't know if you got your emails, the notifications of them. But 2 of them I still cannot find. I don't know where they are. They are from April 20th and April 27th. I still can't find them. April 20th, there's like 5-minute recording of Christina and myself, and then that's it. And then I don't know what happened to the other ones. I know that there was one time where we had to switch accounts, correct? We had to go and meet somewhere else. So I went to the other account just to see if maybe it was in there. It's not in there either. But I know that this is an issue with Zoom because some of my other colleagues have mentioned that and some of the office staff are saying that some of the instructors are complaining that the Zoom's recordings are being lost. I don't know. So, but I found 2 of them at least, which is the Law and Ethics Part 2 and the first part of math. So I uploaded them into the Google Classroom for you to be able to see. So hopefully if you need them, I mean, you've all been here, but if you want to review them, they're there, they're available for you. I'm sorry, not the basic math, but it was the terminology and abbreviation. Okay. There's something else I wanted to say to you all. Well, that was one. If I remember, I'll tell you. But today we're going to start math, basic math. So I'm going to use my whiteboard here to have show everybody my writing. Hopefully everybody can see. Okay, so the first portion we're going to start is just basic math review. So some of this might be a little bit redundant, maybe a little bit too easy for some of you. So I ask that you bear with me, just be a little patient while I go over some of this basic math. And then we can move on to the other topics, which are calculations of dosages, measurement systems, and other things related to the math topics. Okay. Christina sent me an email. Let me see. I'm just saying that she joined. Oh, there it is. I remember now. So I've looked at the NHA website and only 2 of you have joined. And that's Christina and Pamela. Those are the only 2 students that have joined the NHA. So let me show you here because I want to make sure that I had the right address. I know that we confirmed it when we were
I
in
registered for the
class.
NHA as well. I remember making my account.
You did, okay. So that's the part that will give you access to some of the material. So here's my roster, and only 2 students have enrolled. So did you create your account with the invitation I sent you on your own?
Yeah, no, I think maybe I just didn't accept the invitation, or maybe I didn't like.
Okay, so that's what you need to do, because
Okay.
that invitation I sent you will grant you access to this here. And if you didn't do it that way, then you won't have access. Do you have access to any material?
On Google Classroom, yeah, that's like the only.
No, not Google Classroom, NHA website. The
I don't know. I haven't really looked. Like
Okay.
ever since I made my account, I haven't like looked, but I can do
So-
that. I can do it now.
Yeah, do it now. The only students, like I said, is Christina and Pamela. So they're the only ones, and you should have access to this here, the study guide. And the practice tests. That's what you should have access to. And perhaps the math pharmacy portion. So those two topics. Otherwise, if you don't have access to this, maybe check please your email so that or you want me to send it to another account because see, these are the only two, Pamela and Christina, and I sent her to this email for Pamela and Christina. And the other ones I invited were Ann Jazz, so Anna. Is this the right email for everybody here?
Yes, it is. I guess I'm gonna check my spam.
Yeah, check that one, please. Ina, Mimi, and Ria.
Please, can you resend again because I didn't have
can't.
now. No, you can't.
No, I don't know how, to be honest.
Ah.
I don't think I can't. Search. I also access my account here. So check an email from let's see. Let's see here. Okay, candidate invites. So these are the candidate invites. I saw this is another student. Which it should come from NHA marketing. So the candidate invite should come from NHA marketing based on this. Maybe you can check candidate invite or NHA marketing. So here we go. So check this email and maybe you can check in your inbox for this email and see if it's in there. I'm gonna copy it here and put in the chat. So you can search it by no reply at NHA now. See if it's in there, or maybe check, maybe type in candidate invite, another way of searching. And this doesn't matter which email account you have. If it's even if it's non-Gmail account, that's okay. But I just want to make sure that everybody has it. So again, I have Anne, Ina, Mimi, and Ria 797. I mean, they're all Gmail, but the only two, there we go. Anna's just enrolled, so good. How did you find it, Anna?
I'm sorry, I thought I was talking, but the microphone was muted. I went through my spam.
Okay, and did you search it, or what was the name of it, or the title?
It's
subject.
yeah, 1 second, let me just go to it. It's called Invitation to Complete Your NHA Profile.
Okay, so type in maybe invitation to complete and then hit enter and then see.
Does it say that I have an account? Because for some reason I
Um,
remember making one, but
It
no.
says you already have an account.
Oh,
So
because I found the invitation I hand the invitation that you sent and it says you've been invited to enroll. However, you don't have an account yet.
So click on that. Maybe it didn't accept it as the invitation. It just accepted you as a personal account. See if it allows you to so I have Ria. Okay, Ria's now been added. And Anna, Ria, Pamela, Christina, Ina. Did you find it? No? Do you have another email I can send it to, Ina or Mia?
No, just my regular email is fine. I'm trying to
This-
like log in.
Okay. Ina, do you have another email I can send it to? Or just look for it in the junk folder or spam folder if you have Gmail. Look maybe in they have the spam folder here. And they also have the yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, spam. Check the spam. No luck. You're muted, Ina. Well, you're unmuted, but I can't hear you what you're saying. I don't know why. So I want another Ninja Fryer, just FYI class. I've won so many Ninja Fryers, I think I'm gonna start giving them away for anybody who scores 100 on their tests.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, because I pressed something wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so check this folder here. I sent this on the same day I sent that to everybody. So when was yours sent, Mia? When did you
What,
get
the
yours?
invitation?
Yeah,
It was sent on April 27th.
April 27th. So maybe you can go back and find the invitation here, April 27. Go to your
No, yeah, I
spam
have it right
folder.
here. I
Yeah,
have it right
no,
here. I'm just trying to
Okay.
log in. What?
Ina. So check, was it in your spam, Mia?
No, it was in my
Just regular?
yeah.
So check, Ina, check in your, maybe your spam and go down and find April 27th,
I'm-
because I sent it to everybody on the same day.
Okay.
And if it's not here, then check your regular inbox and scroll down until you get to April 27th. Maybe you might have to click this little next arrow, which says older. And you should be able to find it.
Can I do later or I have to do right now?
I want to, well, you can do it later, but I want to make sure that everybody gets it. So, because I want to show what you have access to here. I don't know if Pamela and Christina have navigated through it. Have you navigated through it to see what you have, what's available to you?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
yeah, with me, I was able to navigate it.
Okay, and what did you see?
Let me go back. It was about, let me go back to that.
So you have access to I want to know what you have access to, because last class
Let
we
me
had
go
a little
there.
bit of a little bit of an issue and we didn't have access to everything. So I'm going to show you.
Does it say if
mine.
I'm enrolled?
Let me see. Let me refresh. Yeah, so 5, yep. So Mia, Ria, Anna, Pamela, Christina, and we just need Ina, and that should be it. Yeah, so you're in there, Mia. Good.
All right, perfect.
So maybe you can just follow along for now and see what you have access to. So I want to make sure that you're able to access the material. If you look at on where it says,
My courses.
yeah, my courses.
Yeah, I went there.
Okay, so my courses, you should have prep materials, which is the Accept Pharmacy Technician Online Study Guide. You should have access to this.
Yeah.
You should also have access to the practice test, which is this one. So I'll confirm that you have that. I don't think you have access to the pharmacy, or this is more for like the instructors, but maybe check for me. This is sort of like the digital textbook, but you should, because this is part of the lectures. And then you should have access to the pharmacy or math. Is that what you have, Christina?
Pharmacy.
Pharmacy or math?
I went to Exit CPT Spring to 2023
Yeah, go to that one.
courses. Yeah.
What do you have access to, Mia? Do you have access to this?
I'm trying to access it now
Okay,
because I was doing it through my phone, but now I'm going to do it through my iPad.
okay. What about Anna? And Ina? I'm sorry, and Ria? You have
Yeah.
access to this, the Accept?
Yes, I have access to the online study guide and the online practice test only.
That's it? Those two?
That's it, yeah. Mhm.
So you don't have the pharmacy, or
No,
you don't see this?
I don't see that.
Okay, I'll have to check on them because they should give you access to this.
Always have to be white.
Okay,
That's my question.
so the modules, you can click on preview and choose a module. And then let's say pharmacy technician overview. These modules are like topics, lessons for you on just a general overview of what a pharmacy technician does. And then at the end of each lesson, you play audio. It'll play it for you. So this is pretty much your textbook, your digital textbook. This is sort of like what I've gone through in class, the routes of administration. And so there's quite a few topics in here. And at the end of each topic, somewhere midway through it, you can test your knowledge of what's been covered in these in the section. Let's say, where will the medication with the prescription SIC code II-GTTS-OSTID be used? What do you think? Where will this be used?
Is it one of the eyes?
One of the eyes, but which one?
Is it the left one?
Left
eye.
eyes.
Good, left eye.
2
Okay.
drops. Yeah. Left.
Yep, so it tells you there on what the topics. You can also continue pairing, play a pairing sort of game. As far as these, for example, what are these SIGs abbreviations? So we can match some of these SIGs with the correct abbreviation. We can do this one now as a class. So what would be any of these? You don't have to go in, we don't have to go in order. So just call them out as you see them. What do you think?
Is IM intramuscular?
IM is intramuscular, good.
PO by mouth. PRN as needed.
PO is by mouth, okay?
Yeah. PRN as
As
needed.
good. Anybody else?
BID twice.
Yeah, twice a day. How about Ria, Christina, Anna, Pamela? If not, you just not get them all.
SL is sublingual,
FCL sublingual, very good.
GTTS drops.
Drops, okay.
And I think BU is vocal.
Go back to sleep in the night.
Buccal, it's buccal, yeah.
ACT is meal.
Would you
AD is right here.
AD is right here. Christina.
Um,
what do you-
QH is every hour.
Great. And
And
AC is
AC
before
before
meals.
meals.
Good. So you can see it's interactive, so it'll help you review. So you don't have maybe to make the cards, but it'll definitely help you. And if you keep scrolling down, you'll have some other abbreviations that are commonly seen. Okay, it'll help you also with the abbreviations as far as the systems, the drugs that cover that. If you view more, it'll give you a longer list. Notice that these are sort of alphabetical in the order of the condition or the use. Here we have more uses. So you have quite a lot of information, and this is interactive in the sense where you can play around with the topics. And at the end of every topic, notice it's quite a lot of topics. You can continue. It'll go on to the next one. It'll play it for you. You don't have to read it, so you just listen to it. Okay, so it's got quite a lot of things you can look at and fast forward to pretty much the summary. And at the end, once you finish the module, you can just take that module quiz. And that'll help you review the topic. So you'll see this for every single one. And then here you have the math. There's different versions of the exam. Okay, so you'll have different questions in each one. I will say that every now and then you'll see a question from version A repeated in version B and version C. So, but that's random, not very often, but you will see them. And I will try and work out what happens with these pharmaciers, why you're not seeing these topics, because it's very good, especially the math topics of pharmacier, which talks about the things that we will be seeing in class tonight and for the next weeks. I don't think you have access to this, the anatomy and physiology, right? This is access to another class. If you do, it's fine, but I don't think you have access to this. But yeah, I will see. So definitely cannot see the pharmacier math and the pharmacier, just the plain pharmacier, which is pretty much the digital textbook of everything. So focused on these modules. Okay, focus on these modules, the 8 modules, and then take the practice quizzes in every module. This way you can see and review the material to help you for the class, help you for the national certification exam. At the end, you can also just go straight to the quiz, or first look at the module and then go in there. So there's 20 questions, for example, in this module. So we can see that there's quite a lot of material on here. And in addition to this, you also have access to my, you also have access to my Evolve Elsevier website, which also gives you more material in there. Okay, so hopefully Ina can get in and start using this right away. Great. All right, so basic math review. And as I said, this is a lot of basic math, honestly. And if you find it to be a little bit boring, redundant, and you know it very easily, that's fine. But because this way we can move on to other topics quicker and cover a lot of the material that needs to be covered in this class. So it's okay if that happens. Now I will, let's say, start with the following. Let's say I wanted to find out which number has the highest value. Okay, which number has the highest value? So here we have the number 0.4, 0.44. And then we also have 0.41. Which one has the highest value here, Christina?
I will say 0.4.
0.4. Anybody
Or
agree or disagree with her?
0.44.
0.44. So we have 0.4, 0.44. We have a tie. It's gonna be the tiebreaker.
I think I agree with Pamela. 0.44.
0.44.
Yes, I think it's 0.44.
Okay, so we have this one. Very good. So this is the one with the highest value. What about the lowest value on the other side? Line number 1.
0.0. Oh,
40.0?
40.0, the lowest value. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody have a different answer?
Yeah, I also think 40.0.
Okay, so we have 2 here. Very good. This is the correct answer. What about line number 2?
The lowest?
0.15.
Yes, lowest.
0.15.
0.15.
Yeah,
I
0.15.
I think
Okay.
0.016.
16.
So we have 0.15. What else?
0.016.
0.016.
0.16. Is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
the third
This
one, the
one.
last one.
0.016.
So we have this one and we have this one. Which one has the lowest value?
The third one.
The third one? Very
No,
good.
I feel like it's the first one. Is it?
The first
Oh,
one. Oh,
No, it's the third one because there's a 0 and then the
good.
number.
It is this
The
last
first
one
one-
here.
The
Oh,
first one,
okay.
yeah.
Very good. So it's like saying you have 15 cents as opposed to you have 1 cent here. What about the last
okay.
line here?
First one.
Yeah,
First
the
one?
first one.
First
Lowest
one,
value?
First
yeah.
one's the lowest. Yeah.
Good. So we have a consensus here. So we can see that sometimes these values, these numbers might be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit, maybe this topic might be a little bit redundant, but when you're working in a fast-paced environment, what happens is that seeing these numbers so close to each other could lead to what we call the errors, which is what happened with Emily Jerry. It's something like this can lead to making the wrong medication in the wrong base and then killing the patient, which is what happened with her in that situation. And that's what we want to avoid. So we're going to try and avoid using calculators on this first portion, which is just a review of the basic math, so that we are able to like get those brake gears lubricated. If it's been a while since you've seen math, maybe math is not your stronger subject. So we are too used to the calculators, we're too used to the technology. So let's start doing these things. Using the brain, the biggest calculator that we have, natural calculator. There's some topics that are just no longer seen in school like they were used to, like they were taught before when I was in school. Like cursive, I don't think they teach cursive anymore. Florida governor, which is a very controversial governor, wants to teach cursive again in schools. You give a kid something that's handwritten in cursive, they don't understand it because they're also used to reading something that's typed out. So working with decimals can lead to errors, as I said, but we want to avoid those errors. We want to make sure that those errors aren't made in pharmacy, because that can lead to us hurting and maybe killing somebody, and we want to avoid that. So the numbers here to the left of the decimal point, what place value does it have? Anybody? Place value?
Oh,
of the
10?
number? 10th?
Is it 10?
Tens here to the left?
I think so. Or
Anybody
hundreds?
else? Hundreds? Which one is it? Tens or hundreds?
I don't know.
Is
Ria?
that ones?
Ones?
I think so.
Yes, it is ones. It is ones. Now we have Miss Mia. Tens.
Tens.
Yeah, that's the
Then we
tens.
have the hundreds.
Then the thousands.
And then thousands. And then
10,000?
Hundred.
No,
and thousands. Good.
10,000.
10,000.
Oh, I was right, 10,000.
And then 100,000s.
100,000, yeah.
100,000s. And so on. Then we have the millions and so on. What about to the right of the decimal point? To the right of the decimal point?
That's the negatives, right? Oh, wait.
No,
Mm,
not
no.
we're not talking about the number line. We're talking about place values.
Oh my gosh.
One.
But the negatives would be actually on the left side if we were talking about the place, the number line.
Okay.
What would be the place value of a number here?
Should be the same.
Ones,
Yeah.
like this?
Yeah, ones, tens, hundreds.
1, tens, hundreds. So is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I
You think it's
it's
the opposite?
hundreds.
So it's hundreds, thousands, ones. Okay. So it seems like you're all a little bit lost. So there is no ones. We start off with the tens. And the tens end in THS. Why is this important? Because the National Certification Exam is a multiple choice test. And in some of these math questions, you have to do the work and you've done all the work right. But at the end of the question, it's asking you round to the nearest, and then they'll give you a place value to round to. You can't show your work. Oh, but that's what I had. Look, I did all the work. Here's my work. You can't show them your work and get partial credit. So I want to avoid you losing the points on this question because you are unaware of how to, let's say, round to a specific place value, because perhaps we don't know the place values yet. So this is an important step. One, that's as far as the test. Two, as far as strengths and medication, this is also very important when it comes to medications. Now, the next one is the hundreds. Again, but again, it does end in THS, and the THS ending indicates that it is a decimal, as opposed to just the S endings you see here. The next one is thousands. Okay, thousands, THS. Great. Now, there is 10,000s and 100,000s, and they will all end in THS. However, I will stop here. And the reason I will stop here is that in medications don't go beyond the strengths of the thousands. So you might see medications 1.25 milligrams or micrograms, and this is as far as that goes. You don't see medications that are this, let's say, strength. You don't see anything beyond the 3 decimal places to the right. So this is why I will stop. There are place values of medications, I'm sorry, of in the numbers, yes, but as far as medications, this is where we stop. You won't see in the pharmacy medications that will have 4 decimal place values. So know the place values, know where they are. Notice that there is no oneths that ends in THS. There is no such thing. It begins with a tenth, hundredth, thousandths, and that's it. Okay, so know this, remember this, review this in case this is something that you might not have seen or don't remember. Okay, and again, it's important as far as the test, because when it comes to rounding, one rule of thumb is do not round on a test or on a question unless you're told to round either to a specific place value. If it doesn't say which place value to round to, don't round. Or if we're dealing with fractions, if it doesn't say to reduce, do not reduce. Okay, we'll talk more about these things. So let's talk about now other things. Adding decimals. So we're gonna review a few things tonight. Adding decimals. So let's talk about adding decimals. If I was to give you, again, try to add this decimal without your calculator. Subtract decimals.
Nine point
9.14.
14.
8.14.
8.14 and
eight.
9.14.
8.
So we agree it's 8. Great. So anybody not recall how to add decimals? Remember, we have to line up the decimals. So we're going to place this one under here, 5.89. Notice that the decimals are lined up. And then we just add from right to left. 4, 1, and then 8. And then the decimal is just placed here at the bottom, 8.14. The same thing goes for subtraction. Okay, it follows the same rule. You would place the number with the highest value. If this was 5.89 minus 2.25, we would place the number with the lowest value underneath it, 2.25. Okay, so this would be 4, this would be 6, and this would be 3. And then we just place 3.64, correct. Okay, so I'm gonna erase this portion. Now, what if we are multiplying fractions? I'm sorry, decimals. What if we're multiplying decimals? Let's say I give you this decimal, 7.23 times 0.23. Let's do this without a calculator. What would be the value of this?
$1.44.
1.44.
Wait, no. 1 second.
Okay.
$1.66.
1.66. Any other answers?
It's 1.6675.
1.6675. Okay. Any other answers?
Mine, I will say 166.29.
Okay. 1.6629. Okay, so let's do this. Let's multiply it. We have 7.23 and 0.23. So we're going to place one of the numbers underneath the other. We're going to ignore the decimals for now. And then we just multiply from right to left, starting with the digit
3.
on the farthest right. So we're going to go 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, we can put a 0 as a placeholder to indicate that we're going to multiply the next number, and we start off on the second number. 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 7 is 14. Okay, then we can put 2 0 placeholder because the next one is a 0, but everything multiplied times 0 is just 0. So this is 0, 0, and 0. Now we add 9, 12, 6, 6, 1. And now we count the number of decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this becomes 1.6629. Okay. Good. Questions on this? Okay, and next we have division. Dividing decimals. Dividing decimals. So let's divide a decimal. So this way we can see how we can resolve this. So we have 10.08 divided by 2.4. How do we divide this? Again, no calculator. You remember how to do this?
No,
No? Okay, so
I don't.
remember this little house? We have the number that goes in the little house and the number that goes outside the little house. Remember the number that goes in the little house, what the name of the house, what the number of that inside the house is called?
Is it the dividend or is the other one the
Very
dividend?
good, very good, the dividend. This is the dividend. And this one is called the
Divisor.
divisor. And the number up here is called the
Quotient.
quotient. Good. Quotient. Now, in order for us to divide decimals, we need to make the divisor a whole number. We're going to move that decimal all the way to the right. In this case, until it becomes a whole number, which is just one place. But if I move it one place in the divisor, I have to move it one place to the right in the dividend. So now this becomes 100.8. So I'm going to rewrite this 24 divided by 100.8. Now I immediately put that decimal up here in the quotient area. So how many times does 24 go into 100? I can say 5. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 2 is 10, but that's a little bit too big. So I'm going to go down with 1. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Subtract, we have 4 remainder, bring down the 8. How many times does 24 go into 48? That is 2 times. 2 times 24 is 48. And my remainder, which is this number here, is 0. This is how we divide decimals. Questions? It's been a while, I know. All right, let's look at now fractions. Let's look at fractions, adding fractions. So we want to add a fraction. We have 2/3 plus 1/8. Remember how to add these?
So
What do we need to have?
A common denominator.
Common denominator. So the first thing we need to have is a common denominator. So let's go back and let's talk about what's a common denominator. So let's look at this. This is a fraction. The number on top, it's called the numerator. The number at the bottom is called the denominator. And then this little line, what do we call that? A lot of people call it the fraction line, the division line. It's actually called the vinculum. This is the actual name of it, the vinculum. Okay, so we need to have a common denominator. The fastest way to get a common denominator is to multiply the 3 by the 8 and the 8 by the 3. So 3 times 8 and 8 times 3. But whatever I do to the bottom of the fraction, I got to do to the top of the fraction on both sides. So now we have 24 and 24. We'll rewrite it. 2 times 8 is 16. 1 times 3 is 3. And then we add these two together. We only add the numerators. We don't add the denominators. And that becomes 19 over 24. So this type of fraction here, the 1/2, this is called a proper fraction. Okay, proper fraction. Now there are other fractions where we have the numerator is larger than the denominator. What do we call that?
Improper fraction.
Good, improper fraction. Now this improper fraction can be turned into this. Remember what this is called?
Mixed fraction.
Look, a mixed fraction. Why? Because it has a whole number and it has a fraction in it. How do I get here? Well, how many times does 2 go into 3? It goes in it once. 1 times 2 is 2. How much more do I need to get to 3? 1. And all I do is transfer that denominator here. That's it. Now there's another type of fraction. Let's say I have this fraction here, and this is the same as 1/2. And this type of fraction is called a simple fraction. And it's called a simple fraction because I cannot simplify this or reduce this any further. This is as far as it goes. This is called a simple fraction. Another type of fraction that we have is 1/2 divided by 2/3. So you have a fraction over a fraction, and this is called a complex fraction. Okay, complex fraction. Again, we can turn this mixed fraction back into an improper fraction by doing the following. So we would multiply the denominator times that whole number. 2 times 1 is 2. And then we would add that numerator. Plus 1 is 3. And all we do is transfer that denominator back over here to that side, and that's it. So it turns it back into a improper fraction. Again, this is just review, basic math we've done in grammar school. Now, I do want to show here, for example, another way where we can do addition of fraction. And this works also for subtractions of fraction. And you might have heard of this. It's called the butterfly method. So I know Christina has a 10-year-old. She said you might have done this with your 10-year-old.
I'm listening.
Yeah, she's here. She's
You know it?
listening.
He's listening.
She's
Okay.
And I did the math.
He says it. So we have the butterfly method, which is this. Butterfly has wings. A butterfly has a little butt, the antenna. So what do I do here? I'm going to multiply the 3 times the 8, and that becomes 24. Then I multiply diagonally. 8 times 2 is 16. 3 times 1 is 3, and I need to add 16 plus 3 is 19. 19 over 24, which is the same answer I got on this side. And like I said, this method, the butterfly method, works in both addition and subtraction. Okay. What about multiplications of fractions? Okay. Multiplying fractions. Well, when we multiply fraction 1/2 times 2/3, all we do is multiply across. Multiply across. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. We can reduce this
1/3.
by dividing both top and bottom by 2, and then this becomes 1/3, simple reduced fraction. What about dividing fractions? Well, we have 1/2 divided by 2/3. You like Kentucky Fried Chicken? Well, this is Kentucky Chicken Fried. What does this mean? That means that we're going to keep this fraction the way it is. We're going to change the value. The opposite of division is multiplication, and we're going to flip this second fraction. So we're going to take keep, change, flip. So now we have 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 2 is 4. That is division of fractions, which in reality is not really divisions, it's multiplication. Excuse me. Questions on that? So we're going to be doing a lot of multiplication and divisions of fractions. When we do dosage calculations. Again, this is just a review of topics we've covered in the past. Let's go ahead and take a break, 10-minute break, come back at 7:40 and we'll continue. Okay, let's continue here. Okay, if I was to give you this decimal number, and I wanted to say, well, how would you read it or write it? And then what would be the equivalent in it as a fraction? Okay, let's look at one of the first numbers here. 3.2. What would be this number here? How would I read or write this number in words? Knowing that we've covered place values, how would I read this number?
(3.2)
Not 0.2, but 3 and 2/10.
Oh.
Good, good. 3 and 2/10. Good. How would I write this as a fraction?
So number 3, and then
Yeah,
2 tens next to it.
2/10.
Uh-huh.
Okay, good. All right, what about if I wanted to do this number? 0.9. Okay, how would I do the first one here? The second one, the 0.9. Ria, how would I do this? How would I read this number or write it in words?
0 and 9/10.
So take away
No.
the 0. What's the number here?
9.
So 9. And then the value you just said, the place value,
10th.
9/10. Good. How would I write this as a fraction?
9, 10.
9,
Top of 10.
9/10. Good.
Mm.
What about this one, Pamela? The third one.
Okay. That would be 400.
400. Good. 400. The 4 is in the 100th position, so that would be 400. Now, how would I write that as a fraction?
1/100. I mean 4/100.
4/100. Good. How about Anna, the last one?
Mm, 357 over
Well, how
100.
would you write it first?
Three 57.
Thousands.
357.
Thousands.
So it's 357
Oh,
thousandths. Good. And as a fraction,
357 over 1,000.
good. 357 over 1,000. Good. So again, this is important because in some cases, they'll write something out for you in parentheses, express your answer as a fraction, and they'll write it like this, or express this in words, and then you'll have to interpret it in words, or interpret it as a decimal. And we'll see problems where you'll sometimes have to express things as percentages or as ratios, and we'll learn about those things later on. Okay. Now, this is important when it comes to rounding. I talked about rounding earlier. I said you don't round unless you're asked to round in the problem. So what are the rules for rounding? Well, in case you don't remember, I'll help you review it. So you determine the appropriate decimal place to round to. Okay. Secondly, you're going to look at the number directly to the right of the decimal being rounded. Then, if the number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, what you're going to do is then the answer should be rounded down by simply removing the additional decimal places. Okay. If the number is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, then the answer should be rounded up by removing the additional decimal places and increasing the number in the decimal place being rounded by 1. Let's look at a problem here. So let's round 24.2609 to the nearest, let's say we want to round it to the nearest 100th, to the nearest whole, to the nearest 1000th, to the nearest 10th. So give this one to Ria, this one to Mia, this one to Ina, and this one to Anna. Let me know when you have your answer. What's your answers? You have an answer, Ria?
24.26.
So 24.26. So which number is in the 100th position?
6.
The 6. We're looking at the number immediately to the right. Falls
Zero.
within here, so they just remove them and we leave it like that. Good. What about this one here?
Okay, that should be 13.43.
13.43. So the 2 is in the 100th position. We look at the number immediately to the right. Since it's 5 and above, we increase this one by 1, becomes 13.43. Good. How about Mia, Aina, Anna, Christina?
So if mine is to the whole, would it just be 24?
24, correct. So we're looking at this number. And the one immediately to the right, since it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we just ignore the rest. Anybody else?
I think mine is 13, hold on. 13.4 thousand.
This is Pamela,
Yes,
13.4
4,000.
thousand. Like this, you're saying this?
Yes,
Okay, so which number is in the 10th position?
the 4.
The 4. We
Mhm,
look at the number immediately to the right. And if
mhm.
it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we just remove the rest and keep it
Okay.
like that. We don't need to add those extra zeros.
Okay,
Okay, they're
so
insignificant.
it would be 13.4.
13.4, correct.
Okay.
Oops. Let's see, who else?
So mine should be 24.2, but I don't know if you want that from down.
24.2. So Anna, 10th, the number in the 10th position is the 2. We look at the number immediately to the right. If it's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, we need to increase that 2 by 1. So that becomes 24.3. You see that?
Mhm.
Anybody else? Christina?
I'm just making a guess. My thousand is on the 8. I will say 13.9 thousand.
13.42.
Or
And then
2.
your 8 is in the 1,000. I'm
1,000,
looking
yeah.
at the number next to the right of it. And if
Yeah,
it's
it's
5,
greater.
6, 7, 8, or 9, I'm going to increase that by 1.
1.
This becomes 9.
Yes.
And then I remove the rest.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Ina,
So it's gonna be 24 to 3.
24.3.
Oh yeah.
So what number for you is in the 1,000th?
The 1,000 is 0.
0. So we look at the 0 and the number immediately to the right, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So that means that 0 is going to go up by 1. So that 0 becomes a 1. So then this is 24.26. 1. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody not understand any of these? So we can move on to the next topic. Do you feel we need to go over another example? Let's do just one more here. So let's round. On this number, 0.9. The nearest, the first one would be to the nearest whole. Let's do Anna. And then to the nearest 1,000. Pamela.
So the nearest whole, the nearest whole would be 1.
Would be 1, correct? So this would be just 1. And then Pamela.
I'm going to my notes. 1 second.
Okay.
To the nearest 1,000. That would be 0.96.
Okay, so which number is in the thousandth position?
The 6.
No,
No?
that's in the hundredth.
Oh, yes, 1,000. Yeah, I see that.
So which number is in the
Three.
thousandth? Nope.
2.
The
It's
two.
2. Yeah.
The 2, and I'm looking at the number immediately to the right, directly to the right, which is the 3. So it's in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This 2 remains the same.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I just removed the remaining 0.962.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay, so that's rounding. Again, do not round on a problem unless you're instructed to. And they tell you exactly which place value to round to. Okay, the next topic we're going to cover is Roman numerals. Roman numerals and the Arabic equivalents. So we have 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000. 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, and 1,000. This corresponds to this. This corresponds to this. This corresponds to this. Okay, so Roman numerals. Now, Roman numerals have rules. And we're going to see a few rules and formula from now on that explain how to actually write many of these formulas. So one of the rules for Roman numerals are never repeated more than 3 times in a row, never. One example of this, 5 is V, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we don't write it like this. Rule number 2, when a Roman numeral is repeated, or when a smaller Roman numeral follows a larger Roman numeral, their values are added together. Example, if we have these values, which is 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is equal to 3. Or if we have xi, which means 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 1, which is equal to 31. Rule number 3, when a smaller Roman numeral comes before a larger numeral, the one of lesser value is subtracted from the one of larger value. Example, if I have IV, this is equal to 5 minus 1, which is equal to 4. Or if I have, for example, XL, then that means that this is 50 minus 10, which is equal to 40. When a Roman numeral of smaller value comes between two Roman numerals of larger value, the subtraction rule is followed first, then the addition rule. Example, if we have the number XIV, that means that we have 10 plus 5 minus 1, which is equal to 14. Or we have XLIX. Then here we have 50 minus 10 plus 10 minus 1, and this is equal to 49. These are pretty much the 4 basic rules for Roman numerals. Now there is a side note I want to make sure, because there are only certain numbers we should subtract. So keep in mind that ones for the I can only be subtracted from the 5s V or the 10s X. 10s X can only be subtracted from the 50s L or the 100s C. And then 100s C can only be subtracted from the 500s D or the thousands M. All right. That's pretty much the rule. So I cannot make 99 by just taking 1 away from 100. That's not possible. Or 499 from taking 1 away from the 500. That doesn't work that way. So let's look at some examples, some problems. Let's convert. From Arabic equivalents to Roman numerals. So the first one is 94. We'll give this one to Christina. The next one is going to be 367. We'll give this one to Ria. The next one will be 2,650, and we'll give this one to Anna. Okay, then we're going to also convert, going in the other direction. Convert from Roman numerals to Arabic equivalents. So we'll have here, we have Hina. We have Arila. And then we have here Miss Mia. Yes, I gave you the hardest one, Miss Mia. Whenever you have an
Mine is
answer, just let me know. Yep.
Oh.
Who's mine?
Ina.
Ina.
So X, that means 10.
Mm-hmm.
10, 10, 10, 30, 39.
And then the 1 and the 10, that would be 39. Good.
More easy than the other.
Mhm.
I think mine, Pamela, it's 219.
219. Good. So tell me how you got it.
Oh, well, the two C's, that's 100 each. Then we have the 10,
Mm-hmm.
and then I subtracted the one from the other 10.
Good. 219. Good. Christina, Ria, Anna.
Okay, mine is CCC VI VII.
VIVII. So 367. So you have 100, 100, 100, 5, 1, 5, 1, 1. You want to take another shot, Miss Ria?
Oh, yeah.
This is incorrect. You have another one?
No.
So
Yeah, so mine is 2 M's,
2 M's,
a D,
a D,
C,
C,
and L.
and L. Good.
Okay, mine is L.
Who is mine? Christina?
Oh, Christina, yeah.
Yeah, L.
L X X X X
That's
and
wrong.
I
Incorrect.
and what's the
What is
four?
the first rule? What's the first rule?
You never repeat more than 3.
More than
You
3.
cannot
Yeah.
repeat it more than 3 times.
XXX and
Mia,
LF.
still working on it?
I'm still trying to figure out
Okay.
mine. Like, I'm just so conflicted.
All right. How about Ria? You want to fix yours?
That's the only thing I can think of.
You can only think, okay, you got right, CCC.
Mhm.
That's 300. How do you make 60? What you made here was 6, not 60.
Oh. L
L,
I no
that's 51.
LX LX
LX,
VII.
good. VII,
Mhm.
great. So 100, 100, 100, 50, 10, 5, 1, 1. So remember the rules in red, Christina. Remember what I can subtract from what? Here's the rules.
From 50 from L.
Okay. You can subtract from what? 10s from 50s and 10s from
Hundreds.
100s. That's it. I'm not saying anything else.
So can I answer it?
Yeah.
X C I V
IV.
for the 4.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So 100, I'm sorry, 10 and 100
100
and
4.
1 and 5. Remember,
1 and
every
5.
time you have the Roman numeral of lesser value, you subtract. And then you add these other ones. So 90 and 4, 94. How about Miss Mia?
Is mine 918?
918. So tell me how you figure it out.
So, okay, so the first one is D, which is 500.
Good.
And then we have 3 C's, which are 3 100s.
Great.
Then the X, which is 10.
Yes.
And then the C, that's another 100. And then the V is 5.
Mhm.
And then the I's are 1s.
Okay, so you have 500 plus
Yes.
300s. How much is that?
That's 800.
That's
That's
800.
800.
Then you have 10 taken away from 100, which is
That's a 9.
90. And then
It's
5
8.
plus 3s is 8. 898.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we add these, we put these together, and we put these together. So some prescriptions are written like this. It isn't common to write so many in Roman numerals, but there are doctors that still do use them, maybe not this large values, but yes, there are some prescriptions in which doctors write them in large values. Okay, do we need to go over more of these or we're okay?
I think that we need to go over more, at least for me. I don't know about my
Okay.
classmate.
Let's go over some other ones. Let's say if you wanted to express this, your birthday or your birth year, what is your birth year, Anna?
1988.
1988. How would you write that?
Well, first an M,
M,
and there's gotta be at the end Z and 3 I's, because that's number 8.
so a V
Right.
and 3 I's, you say. Okay, so we got the 8.
Okay, and then, oh Jesus Christ! All right, so 900 would be an M
Lem-
minus a C.
Yes. So,
So M to the right and C to the left.
good. So MCM,
And then I just need the 80, which could be a C, which would be 100 minus 2 X's, which could be 80.
you can do that, but you can only subtract 110. You can't
Oh.
subtract 2 10s.
Oh, okay. So then I could do, oh, Jesus. All right, so can I do L
Yes.
and 3 10s?
Correct.
Okay.
That's it.
So yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, if I was to say, what is this?
Well, that's 2000.
2000,
23.
2023. Good. 2020 and then 3. Okay, so maybe it helps you if you break them down in parts, kind of like I did here. We did here, we did here. This one we broke into 3 parts too. Okay, let's go and break and come back at 8:30. And let's continue. The next portion we're going to do, it's called ratios. Now, ratio is the expression of a relationship of two numbers separated by a colon. The colon is the two dots, one on top of the other. That's what a ratio is. So a typical ratio would be something like this: 1 to 2. Okay. The colon is read as 2, 1 to 2. Pamela, turn your camera on, please. So 1 to 2. Now, this is the ratio. Now, the ratio can be rewritten as a fraction. Rewritten this way as a fraction, okay? And then this fraction can be rewritten as a decimal, which is 0.5. How do I get to here? So again, this is how we get 0.5. And then this decimal can be turned into a percentage by multiplying this 0.5 by 100. Per cent means by 100. So 0.5 times 100 means 50%. And this is very important because many of the problems we'll work on later on will give us the strength of the medication as a ratio, and it is our obligation to turn this into a percentage in order to proceed, in order to perform the calculation. So these are the steps. So the ratio turns into a fraction or divided into a fraction or divided. 1 divided by 2 times 100 is how we turn the ratio into a fraction. Let's convert, let's say this. 2 to 4 into a ratio, into a fraction, and simplify. Let's convert 1 to 25 into a fraction. So, Mia, let's do the first one.
2 to 4, right?
2 to 4,
Okay.
yes.
So as a fraction, it would be 2 over 4.
Correct. And then we simplify it into
Yes, so it gets reduced to a half,
1/2.
1 over
Good.
2.
1 over 2. Great. Pamela, second one.
So I guess that's gonna be 1 over 25.
That's it. Good. And that cannot be reduced any further.
And
Now let-
why not?
Yeah.
Oh, because of the 1?
Well, yeah, because of the 1, you can't reduce it any further.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Now let's do the opposite. Let's convert 4/5 fraction into a ratio. Christina.
Four with a colon
Mhm.
and 5.
So 5. So remember, the colon is read as 2. So 4 to 5. 4 to 5.
Ah, okay, 4 to
Okay.
5.
Great. All right. Now let's continue with proportions. Proportion. Somebody's taking violin lessons somewhere in Christina's house. All right, so proportions are very similar to ratios. But instead here we have the comparison of two or more ratios, or now we know that ratios are also fractions, comparison of two or more ratios of fractions that both represent the same value. By the way, we use ratios all the time in our life. If we're cooking, baking, we go to the bar, we use it all the time. So here's an example of how we can use proportions. 1 to 4 is equal to, you might see the symbol 2, equal to 2 to 8. So 1 to 4, or 1 over 4 is equal to 2 to 8 is equal to 2 to 8. They're equivalent to each other. They both represent the same value. Now from here, we go into another sort of related topic, which is solving for X. So solving for X, or X, is an unknown value, called a variable. Okay, that is pretty much what solving for X. Now we solve for X by implementing cross multiplication. A concept often used in pharmacy to calculate dosages. Now, typically we use the value X or the letter X, but we can use any other letter, X, Y, Z, A, B, C, uppercase, lowercase, Greek letters, that's also used, okay? So let's try and find this value for X in the next problem. So we have, for example, 2 to 10 is equal to X to 30. So we can rewrite this as 2 over 10 is equal to X over 30. Now there's two ways about going this. One of them is cross multiplication that I just showed you. So we cross here, cross multiply. 10 times X is 10X, and 2 times 30 is 60. We need to isolate this X, make it by itself so we can find the value of X. And we do that by dividing it by that 10 that's attached to that X. This cancels out, and then X is equal to 6. So we can rewrite this as 2 to 10 is equal to 6 to 30. Or 2/10 is equal to 6 over 30. The same thing. Just rewriting the same in a different manner. Questions?
Why do you put like the two, you see where you put the 2 to 10 and then you put like double dots? Is that like equals or?
Yes, that is equal.
So
So that
two
means
double,
equal.
okay.
So 2 to 10 is
Not-
equal
not
to X
on
over
top of
30.
that, when you put it on the, where it says example, then you write 2 to 10 and then,
The
yes.
2 dots,
those
the 2 colons, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This means equal. So these are proportions. We're comparing these two proportions and finding the value of x.
Okay.
So proportions are two or more ratios or fractions that both represent the same value. So 2/10 is the same as saying 6/30 or 6/30.
Mm,
Both of these in the end are equal to 1/5. This can be reduced to that, and this can also be reduced to that. Questions on any of this that was covered today, as far as basic math? I see Stina, she's a little pensive. No? Okay. So the next topics we're going to cover are measurement systems. Measurement systems. Now, we typically deal with two major measurement systems in pharmacy, which is the metric and the household, but we'll learn about two other more here. These are measurement system used to calculate dosages in pharmacy. So the first measurement system that we have, I'm going to change this color, is the metric. The metric system. The metric system is considered the international and scientific standard of measurement based on and they're based actually on the meter, the gram, the liter. Next measurement system that we'll talk about is the apothecary, which is an old English system of measurement based on measurement, an old English system of measurement for weight, based on the grain, which is abbreviated as GR. Do not confuse it with G, which is for gram. The third measurement system we'll talk about is the household system, which is the typical measurement system used in American households for foods and beverages. And lastly, we'll talk about, or just define rather, we won't really talk much about it, the avoirdupois system. The avoirdupois system is considered the current American system of measurement based on weight, a weight based on 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces. And the reason is that in the apothecary system, 1 pound is equivalent to 12 ounces, which is a different conversion. Now, a meter is used for length or distance. The gram is used for weight. And the liter is used for volume. Now, within the units for meter, we have kilometers, show you the abbreviation, kilometers. We have meters. We have centimeters. We have millimeters. Okay. In reality, the only one we'll use in the metric system as far as length is centimeters. And we'll use this when we're discussing BSA, which is body surface area. And this is measured in squared meters. Okay. Now, as far as weight, we use kilograms, abbreviated kg. We use grams, abbreviated as G, lowercase g or capital G. We use milligrams, which is mg, and we use micrograms, which is mcg. But sometimes you see, if you remember that table, we have that little U with the long leg or the long tail, which stands for mu, which is a Greek letter, okay, mu. And then in volume, we have liter, abbreviated as capital L or lowercase l. That's sometimes confused with number 1. And then we have milliliters, which is expressed as ml. Sometimes you might see cubic centimeters, which is also the same thing as saying mLs. And then you have other measurements like deciliters. These aren't really used much in pharmacy. They are used, let's say, when we're measuring small amounts, let's say diabetic patients, when they're taking their blood glucose measurements to see how much sugar they have in their blood. They'll take that small amount. And if you look at the screen on those meters, you'll see that it says deciliters per mole. So it's a very small amount. So you have deciliters. But again, these aren't really used in pharmacy. In pharmacy, we use this one and this one. That's it. And then there's other measurements for liters or for volume. But again, not something that we use in pharmacy. And then in the apothecary system, we have units called the grain that I mentioned. So 1 grain is equivalent to 60 milligrams, though some books and some problems, word problems, might state that it's 65 milligrams, okay? Now, in practice, in pharmacy, we can say it's 60 milligrams. Medications are measured in 60 milligrams, not 65. Now, there's other measurements within this system of the apothecary system, but we don't really use them often unless we're compounding a medication and it uses an old formula with a lot of these old English units of measurements. We have minims. Sometimes we see like this little m, like with the long tail also. We also use drams. Drams are used, let's say, in the vial sizes where we have the medications put in. Over at the bottom, you have measurements. Each one of these vial sizes will have a different number. It could be 8, it could be 10, it could be 20 drams. And you'll see that at the bottom. If you have medications at home, look at those measurements at the bottom of those bottles. You'll have these numbers and the letter DR, which stands for drams. So the larger the number, the larger the bottle. We also have, and by the way, this is abbreviated as DR. And then we also have minimums, grams. We also have, like I said, pounds and ounces, grams, minimums, grains. These are pretty much the things that we use there. Sometimes in these liquid bottle medications, where we have the medications given to us in liquid, you have this little symbol. It looks like a 3 like that, and it has maybe a 1 dot, means it's 1 ounce or 2 ounces. This little 3 is also a unit or an abbreviation or a symbol used in many of these pharmacies and compounds. I want to show you this here, for example. Again, you learn this in pharmacy school. So I think Ria wants to go to pharmacy school. So you might see these more in detail in pharmacy school. Anna.
Yeah, so how often do you use the apothecary English
Not very
system
often, to
in
be honest,
pharmacy?
unless you're compounding something. The only time you'll see the apothecary system is if you are compounding something. Now, there are doctors, and I just wanted to show you the symbols, but it's not a very clear image, but here it is here on the right. Here's some of the, for the dry measurements, some of the symbols, you see them here. And for the liquid measurements, the minimums, you can see some of these gutta, which means drop, or drachm or ounce. You can see these symbols and their equivalents on there. So they're not really used much unless you're using one of these old formulas that has these measurements in there. Otherwise, you pretty much don't see them. Now, as far as medications, you will see them in medications in pharmacy, such as phenobarbital, Armour thyroid, which is a type of a less synthetic, close to natural hormone. And doctors usually write for this medication, and even the phenobarbital, or sometimes the aspirin, in grains. So let's say for Armour thyroid, they'll write 1 grain. And we know that 1 grain is 60 milligrams, but sometimes they'll write for half a grain. How many milligrams is that?
30.
30. If it's a quarter grain,
15.
15 milligrams. If it's 2 grain,
120.
20.
good. That's pretty much the extent of that we'll see. Sometimes we'll see ASA written as 5 grain. So we have the Roman numeral and the apothecary measurement. We'll see that sometimes. So that would be 5 times 60. So let's say 5 times 60 would be 300, or 5 times 65, 325. So in this case, when they write it like this, we know that aspirin comes in 81 milligrams. It also comes in 325 milligrams, 181 milligrams. So when they write it for 5, they're assuming that the grain is equivalent to 65 milligrams. So 5 times 65 is equal to 325 milligrams. They may also use this for the APAP, which is the acetaminophen. So acetaminophen 5 grain, that means 325 milligrams, the regular strength Tylenol or acetaminophen. So that's where pretty much the extent of our typical usage of the apothecary system.
So why don't they
Grains.
use the metric system?
They do. So we have to
How about like
convert.
for these kind of like little things that you're explaining to us right now?
Why don't they use it? Because the formulas call for the old measurements. So we have to convert them from the apothecary system into the metric system for us to, let's say, perform a calculation or perform a compound.
Wouldn't it be
So-
easier to write just like 60 milligrams?
Yes, and by the way, every other country in the world, every country in the world uses the metric system except for the US. The US still uses the household. In medicine and in pharmacy, we're always using metric, and we're always using the international system, which is the metric system. For time, we also use military time. We don't use standard time. So if we want to say midnight, or if we want to say 1 o'clock, or we want to say 10 p.m., we don't use 10 p.m., we use 2200 hours. Okay, 0600, 0500, 1300 hours, which is international or military time. And as far as the household, so the household system uses it also other measurements, and we'll learn more about these, but let's look at some of these. So we have 1 TSP, and I'll teach you the equivalents, 5 mLs, 1 TBSP, which is 15 mLs, 1 ounce, which is 30 mLs, 1 cup, which is 240 mLs. You'll have to memorize these and know these. We'll have, let's say, 1 pint, which is 480 mLs. Now, before I continue, these aren't the accurate measurements. If you look on Google, you'll get a different equivalent for it. And many of these online and app converters, you'll have a different equivalent. And that is the more accurate equivalent of these measurements. And the reasons we use this because it's much easier. It's much easier for us to measure 5 mLs than to measure 4.9236589. That's easier for us to do. We also have 1 quart, which is 960 mLs, 1 gallon, which is 3,840 mLs. We also have 1 kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds. 1 pound is equal to 454 grams, and 1 pound, that's of dry ingredient, is equal to, as I said, 16 ounces in the wet products. So these are the typical household measurements and their equivalents into the metrics. So as far as all of the problems that we will work in class and you will work with in practice in the pharmacy, it will always be metric. So doctors will prescribe in household and you will have to convert to metric. Any word problem, convert to metric. If it's not in household, if it's not in metric, you convert to metric. So which ones are metric? Let's say if you don't remember. Typically, we use milligrams, kilograms, milliliters, and liters. Those typical 4 measurements. If you don't see those, then it's not metric, it's household. We need to convert that. Questions on these measurements?
So yeah. So
Yeah.
then regardless of what we have, we always need to convert to metric.
Correct.
So I know, let's say from the apothecary system, we would have to convert to metric, or from the household to metric, or everything to metric.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Let's look at some of these. Let's look at a problem. Let's look at problems, let's say, that help us. Well, before we start that, let's look at metric notation, because that's also very important. Metric notation is how we need to write and represent numbers and understand them when they are being expressed to us by prescribers or when we're working with them. We want to make sure that we use the correct notation. Metric, guidelines for metric notation. So there are rules pretty much, okay? Rule number 1 is we want to always place the number before the abbreviation. Example, we want to say 4 milligrams, not milligrams 4. And you'd say, well, that's silly. That's obvious common sense. I had a student many years back. She said she worked at a hospital with a pharmacist that used this method. He would type the or would use the metric. I'm sorry, the abbreviation, then the number. We want to always place a 0 to the left of the decimal when the number is less than 1. Example, if we want to say Synthroid 0.2 milligrams, not Synthroid 0.2 milligrams, because this can be misinterpreted as 2 milligrams. And Synthroid is a medication that has quite a wide range of strengths, where they have the 2 milligrams and they also have the 0.2 milligrams. So we don't want to make that mistake. And this is critical because it helps us prevent confusion and possible dosage errors, which can be fatal. You remember that prescription for Synthroid that was handwritten? I think it was Anna that said it's 0.25. And he said, well, there's no period there. I said, well, there's a 0 there. And you knew that the fact that there was a 0, Synthroid 0.25, even though you couldn't see the dot or the period, you knew it was a decimal because of the leading 0. So that's very helpful. Number 3, never place a 0 to the right of the decimal place when you have a whole number. Example, you don't want to say a patient weighs 20.0 kilograms, because again, that can be misinterpreted it as 200 milligrams. Patient weighs 20 kilograms, sorry. Not 20.0 kilograms. That can be misinterpreted as 200. Always use decimals to reflect when using the metric system. Example, we say 6.5 mLs, not 6 1/2, a fraction mLs. We don't use fractions in the metric system. We don't say 6 3/4, we say 6.75. And lastly, avoid unnecessary zeros. And an example of that is 3.2 grams, not 3.200 grams. Why? Because in some countries, commas are used the same way we use periods here, and periods are used the same way we use commas there. So in the USA, for example, if I was going to talk about $3,200.50, I would write it like this. Other countries could express the same amount of money this way, $3,250. You see? Now, there are doctors, nurses, and many other healthcare staff that have studied abroad and have probably learned to interpret or write in this manner, and that can maybe confuse them and can be misinterpreted. This is a little off topic, but related. I had a doctor that came from abroad. The pharmacist allowed him to write a prescription for blood pressure medications for a relative here. And they were gonna pay cash for it. And they said, yeah. So she said, I wanna prescribe more so that even though they're taking less, they have the amount that they need while they're here. I said, that's fine. So she started writing, I wanna say that they're gonna take it 4 times a day, even though they're only gonna take it once. And I said, okay, that's fine. So she said, I'm gonna write it as 1 QD. I said, but that's only once a day. She said, no, that's QID. That's 4 times a day. I said, well, no, not in America. In America, QD means daily. QID means 4 times a day. And she kept arguing with me. I said, listen, if you want to write it like that, he's only going to dispense as if they were taking it once a day, not 4 times a day. So listen to what I'm saying and just write it QID. And this way they'll dispense as if they were taking it 4 times a day rather than once a day. So you see, sometimes those interpretations can lead to errors in certain patients, even though they're medical doctors, but they're abroad. All right. Let's learn, because we're going to convert a lot in this class. Let's learn to convert the metric weights within, or the units within the metric system. So let's focus on the first one. So let's say if I want to convert from kilograms to grams, I'm going to move the decimal place. I'm going to move the decimal place, the decimal 3 places to the right. The decimal 3 places to the right. If I want to convert from kilograms to milligrams, I'm going to move the decimal 6 places to the right. If I want to convert from kilograms to micrograms, I'm going to move the decimal 9 places to the right. Let's say now I want to convert from grams to the other units. Let's say I want to convert from grams to the other units, the same thing. Grams to kilograms. I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the left. From grams to milligrams, I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the right. I'm going to convert from grams to micrograms. I'm going to move the decimal 6 places to the right. Let's say I want to convert from milligrams now to other units. I want to convert from milligrams to kilograms. I'm going to move the decimal 6 places to the left. Milligrams to grams. I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the left. Milligrams to micrograms. Move the decimal 3 places to the right. And now lastly, I want to convert from micrograms. So micrograms to kilograms. I'm going to move the decimal 9 places to the left. Micrograms to grams. I'm going to move the decimal 6 places to the left. Micrograms to milligrams. I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the left. How many of you memorized it by now? Nobody's memorized it by now. All right, so I'm going to teach you how to learn or memorize all of this in this very easy system. So King George makes microchips. So he's a big tech guy and he sells microchips. 3, 3, 3, 3. We have the right and we have the left. This also works for liters and milliliters. So if I want to convert, let's look at this one here. I want to convert from kilograms to grams. I'm going to move the decimal 3 places to the right. Look at here. From milligrams to grams, from kilograms to grams, I'm going to move 3 places to the right. Here's another one. Let's say I want to convert this one here. From grams to milligrams, grams to milligrams. So from grams to milligrams, I am moving 3 places to the right. Move the decimal 3 places to the right. Let's say I want to convert here. Let's look at this one here. Milligrams to micrograms. So from milligrams to micrograms, I'm moving 3 places to the right. Move the decimal 3 places to the right. Let's say I want to convert from micrograms to kilograms. So I'm going from micrograms all the way here to kilograms. I am moving 3, 6, 9 places to the left. Let's say I want to convert, let's look at this one. Milligrams to kilograms. Milligrams here to kilograms here. I am moving 3, 6 places to the left. Move the decimal 6 places to the left. Okay, so remember, the key here is you have to remember the order. Kilograms, grams, milligrams, and micrograms. That's the order. You need to remember the order. That's why I came up with this silly thing to memorize. King George makes microchips. This way you remember the order. Sometimes people get confused, the grams and the milligrams, or the milligrams and the micrograms, or the grams and the kilograms. So that is the 333 system that will help you convert from one unit to another. Let's look at some problems here, okay? So let's say I have 25 micrograms, and I want to convert this to milligrams. Okay, micrograms to milligrams. Where is my decimal in this whole number? Every whole number has an invisible decimal place right there. We just don't write it because, one, it's not part of the metric notation. We don't need to write it. If it's a whole number, we don't write this, right? Unless we're talking about money, then we write this. But otherwise, here we're talking about strengths and medications and metric system. So from here's so we have 3, 3, 3, 3. We're going from micrograms to milligrams right here. We're moving 3 places to the left. We don't count the 3 where we start off. We count where we move to. So micrograms to milligrams, 3 decimal places to the left. 1, 2, 3 scoops. Here's my new decimal place. This empty scoop, I'm going to fill it with a 0. So that's 0.025. But since metric notation says I need to put a leading 0, this would be the proper and correct way for me to express a decimal. Questions? Let's look at another one here. $100 milligrams to grams. Let's look at this, Mia.
Oh boy. Is it okay? So the decimal point is like it's right after the second 0, right?
Correct. So I'm gonna use a
Okay.
different color. Let's use this one. So it's right there.
Okay, wait, sorry, I'm just looking at the chart real quick.
That's okay. So we got this one here. Here's
Okay,
milligrams.
so
And we're going which way? Right or left?
to the left.
Left to grams, right? This is where we want to go
Yes.
to. And we're moving how many places?
3 places.
To the left. So 1, 2, 3. Here's my new decimal place, 0.1. But the proper way to write this is the leading 0.1.
Mhm.
Okay. Now for liquids, let's look at liquids. 15.6 liters, and we want to convert this to mLs. Let's look at Christina. Like I said, this also works for volumes. 3, 3. This is the right, and this is the left. So we're moving from liters to mLs. Liters to mLs, and I'm moving in which direction? Right or left? Right. Correct?
Yes.
So and I'm moving how many places?
3.
3 to the right.
Yeah, 3 to the right.
1, 2,
So
3.
becomes
These empty scoops will be filled with zeros.
Zero.
So that's 1, 5, 6, 0, 0. I don't need to put a decimal there because this is a whole number, but I can put a comma here, 15,600 mLs. Now you can also solve many of these by proportions. 1 liter is equal to 1,000 mLs. 15.6 liters is how many mLs? Cross multiply. 1 times x is just x, and 15.6 times 1,000 is 15,600 mLs. Questions? Let's look some of these here quickly. Okay, I'm gonna put these problems up. 0.6 grams, and we're gonna convert this to kilograms. Anna? We're gonna do 1.5 kilograms. I'm gonna give you a few. So work on yours and the other ones as well, the other ones that I give to the other students. I'm gonna give this one to Ina. Ria. We'll give this one to Pamela. Give this one to Mia. And lastly, Christina. Whenever you have your answer, just let me know.
Yeah, so mine could be 0.0006 kilograms.
Where is it? Anna,
The first
0.00.
0.06 kilograms.
kilograms, okay? So we have kilograms, grams, milligrams, and micrograms, 3, 3, 3, 3. And we have liters and mLs, the same thing. So Anna says that to go from grams to kilograms, we're moving 3 places to the left. So here is my decimal, 1, 2, 3. Here's the new decimal, empty scoops, fill them with zeros. This becomes 0.0006, good. So work on yours first and then
mine?
work on the other ones. Who is next?
Ina.
Ina, yeah.
So 2 kilogram, we're gonna
This
move,
is 1.5 kilograms.
we have 1.5. We're gonna move to the right 3.
Mhm.
It's gonna be 1,500.
1,500 grams. Scoop, scoop, 0, 0, 1,500 grams. Good. Ria,
Okay, so mine is 220 milligrams.
220 milligrams. So she's going from grams to milligrams, 3 places to the
Moving
right.
right.
1, 2, 3. Empty scoop just becomes that. Good. Pamela.
I'm not sure about mine, but I think it's 15,000 micrograms
So you got milligrams.
to
You're going
my,
from milligrams to micrograms. So where's your decimal here?
it's on the third.
Right there,
Yes.
right there. So
Mhm,
you're moving 3 places to the right.
to the right.
1, 2, 3. These
Mhm.
empty scoops, you fill them with zeros.
Yes.
So that becomes 1,500,000.
Oh,
1,500,000. Okay,
okay.
Mia?
Okay, so it's from look to that. So sorry, I'm just still looking back at the chart. Okay. So you move it 6 places to, no, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. 3 places to the left is what I meant.
Good. 3 places to the left. So where's your decimal?
It's right after that
Yes,
last
the-
0.
Good, and we're moving 3 places to the left, 1,
Yes.
2, 3, and that comma becomes a period, but we don't need it. We just put 1 milligram.
Mhm.
And then Christina,
Mine, I will move 3 zeros to the left, and it
so 3
becomes
zeros to the left. Mhm.
1.5 liter.
Good, 1.5 liters, good. So again, 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. 1 gram is equal to 1,000 milligrams. 1 milligram is equal to 1,000 micrograms, okay? So all of these, you can also solve them, like I said, in using proportions and solving for X if you know the basic conversion factors. Questions? No questions, okay. I wanna give you here something to copy and paste. Let's see. Now this doesn't let me copy and paste. Maybe you can take a screenshot of this or an image. Just want to give you some word problems you can work on until next class that we meet. And before we go. I'm gonna paste it here so it shows. There it is. So just these 4 problems. 3, there's 3 is A and B, so they're related. Oops, what happened? Second, please. Shut down. Put it up again. Okay, so these problems, if you can work on them for next class, they're very simple. They're just a little bit of a review of what we did tonight. So maybe take an image. It'll be in the recording. Once it comes up, I'll upload it and then just go ahead and work on them. Otherwise, that's it. I'll see you all next week. If anybody has a question, I'll stick around. You can also email me. If not, have a good night.
I have a
I have
question.
a question.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Karina.
The score from last week's test.
Yes, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna.
Ah.
You should have maybe give me half an hour. and I'll give
Okay,
them to
no,
you.
it's
I'll send
fine.
them to you. Okay. Is that the same question, Ina?
No, it's another one. So
Okay.
I have to go to my country, to another country in my Albania. And do I have any problem if I go there, or it's okay?
It's okay. I mean,
It's
as long as
fine.
you can log in, it's fine. What's the time difference?
Okay. And 6 hours.
Yeah, so
So
make sure you put
I
an
have
alarm.
to wake
I
up
was two
Yeah.
summers ago, I was in Europe. And then I was in
6 hours.
France. Yeah, I was in France and we were like 5 hours away. Then we went to England and we were 6 hours away and it was like an hour late for my class. I'm like, forgot about the hour, just 1 hour change. Luckily, my
Yeah,
students
we
were
have
there.
6.
Mhm.
Okay,
what
so
else?
we don't have any problems.
No, it's no problem.
And
Yeah, as long as you
somebody
get good
can
internet and you're able to connect, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. And about this one, about how does it go? NHA, somebody to help me to write down because I can't find.
I can help you after class. So if that's the only thing
Thank
you need
you.
help with, I'd stay with you.
Okay, thank you so
Everybody
much.
else, otherwise you're free to go.
I mean, does she have to get the invitation, or can she just like
I already
use
sent her the
NHA?
invitation, so I'm gonna have you share your screen with me, Mia. No, not Mia, Ina. I'm gonna make you a co-host so you can share your screen. So I can see what it is that you can't find.
Okay.
You know where it says share
So-
screen down there at the bottom?
Oh,
There's a
where
there's a
is
green button that says share screen. You're on a tablet
share
or on a
screen?
phone, right?
Oh, sure. No,
Yes.
now I have iPad.
Okay, so you can
I-
click on that button that says share screen.
Turn switch to gallery, Bluetooth switch. Where is the share content? No, security record.
No,
Show
share,
meeting.
not security, share screen. You don't have a share screen option. On the tablet, you should have one.
Share contact, photos, iCloud, website, bookmark,
No,
whiteboard.
that's to share, that's to share an image, a file. The rest of it, if you don't have to stay, you're free to go. But if you want to stay, that's fine.
Have a good
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Just a quick
Have
tip.
a night.
Yeah.
The first time when you send the invitation, I didn't realize it was the NHA, and I deleted the email. And then when you told us about it, I went and fished it back from the trash. So maybe that's what
Yeah.
happened to her. So
Yeah, the
Uh,
same thing. Or
Oh.
maybe my daughter, because she uses all
Good
the
night.
time. I don't know.
let me see if I can find that invitation.
Ina,
Put it again.
Ina,
Yeah,
I have the hyperlink. Do you want to? I can paste it in the
Yeah,
chat box,
that's fine.
and then you can just click on it and see if it works, because that's
Yeah,
the
that's
should be the
another thing you can
hyperlink
do.
to the invitation.
Yeah,
You want to do
that's
that?
another thing.
Okay, yeah, sure. You can send. Thank you.
All right. So
Let
yeah,
me try.
that should be the link to the invitation.
Yeah,
So
and
just
then once you
try
log in
it.
with
Okay.
yours, hopefully it's
Let
not the
me
link to
try.
just the email.
It shouldn't be a problem though, because it's the same website.
So I tried so many times, but didn't work. I don't know. Maybe it's a wrong email.
What was your
I-
email?
Ina
Okay, I see.
Skimby.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
I just pasted the link in the chat. So if you wanna like go to the chat and click on it.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works.
let's see if it adds you.
So I have to do something here? How do I?
You have to
No.
accept it.
This is got it, thanks, receive thank you.
Oh,
Did you
Ina,
click on the link that I sent you in the chat?
Okay, I have this link here. But when I put the email and password, didn't work. I don't know why. But I will
Because you have
try
to-
again.
You have to create a new account.
Yeah, I create twice.
you did.
So maybe
You
just reset
still
your
can't
password.
share your screen?
Oh, this is my iPad. I never used this iPad before.
So there's like 3 dots. When you log in, there should be 3 dots to the right that says more. That should give you the option to share your screen.
Okay, I will do by myself because I don't want to keep more because it's too late. If I have
Okay.
any question, I'm going to write. Okay.
Let me give you their phone number. Maybe you can call them and they can resend to you the invitation.
Anyways, good night. Bye.
Good night. Thank you for
Right.
staying.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me give you their phone number. I can stay. I have no problem staying now. You know, it's no problem. Okay, so here's the link for, I'm gonna put in the chat for their contact information. So call them and let them know that you tried to, your instructor sent you a link, invited you to the class. But
Please, can you
cannot
send to the classroom?
to the Google Classroom?
Can you send to the
Yeah.
classroom? Because when I hang up, everything was clear.
Oh, okay, everything will be lost. I see, I get you. So let me send it through
Yeah, it
Google
will be lost.
Classroom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. You did add yourself in here. There we are.
Okay, I will try by myself, and after if I have any question,
Okay,
I will ask you.
bye-bye.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
bye-bye.
you so much. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.